Jennifer and Bruce, thank you so much for being with us today and being willing to share your story with us and with our viewers. And so we would love for you to tell us about your daughter, Chelsea. Can you tell us a little bit about her story?
You want to?
Well, she was born, and well, we didn't even know she had Down syndrome. We never did any tests or anything. So when we went to the hospital, everything seemed normal, and we had a lot of ultrasounds and stuff like that.
She was our second
It
child.
was the second child.
Our
So,
first pregnancy went along fine.
Yeah, had
No issues.
nothing seemed unusual or anything until after she was born. The nurse said, "We think she has Down syndrome." We're just like, "Nah, they don't know Down syndrome. They don't know what they're talking about, you know." So
Yes, I remember that.
remember,
What do they know?
her doctor's like, they're just being over precautious. Don't worry about that. So
She had a little hard time starting to breathe.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're a
and
little concerned with her. They
then I
swept her
started to
away,
get
you know.
nervous.
Yeah.
And so they take her, I assume they take her away with special care nursery, or did you get to hold her right away, or?
No, they swept her away pretty quickly. I got to see her a little bit, and then they took her out the side door. And so, like told Jennifer, I said, "I'm going to find her."
Yeah.
So I take off and find her, and
I was glad that we went to a hospital where they can do that.
Right,
You know.
right. So a question that a lot of people ask us, really, truly, is, I should have introduced you too. This is my husband, Mike. Do you wish you would have known that Chelsea had Down syndrome? We didn't know that Sarah had Down syndrome either. Just curious.
No,
No.
it wouldn't have made a difference. It would have never been an option to abort her or terminate the pregnancy. And I later asked my doctor, you know, what do you think? Should I have tested? I worked out, you know, I went to the gym, I took my vitamins, I did everything I was supposed to do, made all my appointments. Nothing ever showed up that looked abnormal, or, you know, back then they just did a normal ultrasound. It wasn't a 3D or anything
Right.
like
They
that.
they didn't even have 3D back then.
No. And there was no cause for concern.
Yeah.
And so we just went along with the flow, and we were just preparing for this baby.
Okay.
So tell us what the conversations were like between the two of you after they took Chelsea away and you started to process this term Down syndrome and what it meant.
I was worried that people. My mom then came into the delivery room after Bruce left with her and my sister, and I just was worried that people would make fun of her. And after that, I was like, well, I'll just protect her.
Yeah.
You know, I had the side of me that, you know, that Mama Bear will come out and they won't make fun of my baby. And I just at that point wanted to make sure she lived. I didn't really care about Down syndrome. I don't know that we ever.
well, we really kind of rebelled against the idea of her having
Yeah.
Down syndrome. We really didn't accept it for a long time. We got some information from the hospital about Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And it was a nice packet, but
It didn't apply to us.
hate to say it on camera, but we threw it away because it's like
Yeah.
we're not going to accept it, but it's then we started searching
deny
for
it.
information. There's a lot of bad information on the internet.
Yep.
All
Absolutely.
these bad things, and so we start seeing that. It's like, well, we're not going to look at that anymore because that's not going to be our daughter.
Yeah.
Right. So when did you realize? How old was Chelsea when you realized that there was an issue with her heart?
Oh, well,
we knew right away.
immediately.
We knew right away when she was in the NICU.
That evening,
That evening at the NICU, they were saying that she has Down syndrome. She has some heart conditions and stuff, and will have to have surgery eventually.
And can you share with our viewers what was wrong with Chelsea's heart?
It's an AV canal.
Okay.
The center between the chambers of the heart was gone to some extent. They really didn't know how bad it was. They knew that all the blood and stuff circulating through the body would just go into the lungs. so her lungs were getting very wet.
Okay.
And so they give us some medicine to try to counteract that problem. And we actually went home with her at a normal time leaving.
Probably 3 days. We
Just
stayed
to
in the hospital, and we went home on
And we brought her home.
3 heart medications, and she was on diuretics, so she couldn't really miss any feedings, or
Right.
she needed to take a certain amount. And that becomes stressful because you're like, okay, she has to get this down. She has to drink this, or, and I remember my mom telling me at one time, she said, I think she's looking a little thin. I think you need to call the doctor, and we're like, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to,
Not
I
the
don't want to
doctor
do the
again.
doctor.
'Cause- yeah.
So we took her in to the pediatrician, and he said, I'm going to direct admit her. And I was
To
like,
the hospital.
to the
again. It's like,
hospital.
oh, not back to the
oh
hospital.
goodness, because it's just scary. You just have this. She's 6 pounds. I mean, she's just a little thing and she was 18 inches long. I mean, just little tiny girl, and she looked completely filled out and healthy, and we're just going to do this, and this will be fine, and that'll
Yep.
fix this, and we'll be good.
Yep.
Well, so you would think.
That wasn't enough to take care of the problem. So they decided her heart was just too small to do the surgery at that time. So they wanted her to get up to 10 pounds. So they banded her pulmonary artery, which restricted the flow to her lungs, but allowed it to go through her body. So we took her back home after that, and our job was just keep her healthy and
And
get
she
her up
was.
to the weight of 10 pounds. So
We did the RSV shots. A nurse
Yeah.
came to our house, and she was off all of her medication. She was on Polyvisol, the vitamin,
Okay.
and she looked completely healthy, smiled, laughed,
Yep.
played, and she had her first steps therapies, and we had OT and PT and speech, which I was, why do you need speech for?
Yeah.
she's a pretty warm, but
But, oral
But it
motors.
does help. It does
Yeah,
help if you've
yeah.
got a sucking issue.
We did all
or
the
yep.
rules, and so she was 16 pounds, and she was not a year old yet. She was 6 months old, 6 or 8 months old when she went in for her surgery.
But the band then became too restrictive, so they could only leave it so long. And so it was time for surgery, and we're like, well, we're going in, we'll be there for a week, and we'll come home, and, the good guys win, and that's just how life goes. And so...
So during that time, tell me how the two of you processed this together. I mean, what, did you all go out and seek out resources to help you understand what was going on? Did the two of you stay connected during that time? I know, Bruce, oftentimes men and women process things very differently. And I know when Sarah was born, that was true for Valerie and I. Valerie was very depressed and really just was wrestling with what it all meant, and that meant that I had to take sort of a different approach. And so I'm just curious how you two dealt with that.
Well, we had the pediatrician, Dr. Escobar. We leaned on him a lot for information
syndrome
and
clinic.
stuff. So we a lot of good information from him. We just, you just don't have that mentality of what's going to happen. You don't have the mentality that something's going to go wrong. It's going to be simple and easy. And
These were the best doctors. I mean,
Yeah.
this is what they do, and we felt that our team was very adequate and capable. And, we had four cardiologists and a heart surgein.
Yeah.
what else do you need?
He's going to fix
Yeah.
this. And,
This
Yeah.
is going to be fixed.
Yeah,
It's gonna
and
be
we
no
were going to
problem.
pray harder, and we were going to,
Believe and
believe,
just
and
trust
God
in
was
God.
going to, he was going to fix this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chelsea goes in for surgery at, you said 6 months, 6 to 8 months
6 to 8
somewhere.
months, yeah.
And she's a healthy weight. She's a good weight.
She is.
Good weight.
And
She's-
and we're going to show some pictures to our viewers and stuff. But she was just a plump little,
Yeah.
Yeah.
gorgeous little baby.
Yeah, and she was
happy and
off of everything. She was off of. I was pretty impressed that I was able to.
yeah, we had her weaned off all
Yeah.
medications, and for all intent and purposes, she's okay.
I think our lives just went on because we had our son,